It's probably best.
Hello everyone, this is Fuserdamus and welcome back to my Baldur's Gate solo trilogy playthrough.
I'm waiting.
In this episode we go and take care of the
Concern.
shoot, the Harper hold. That's what I'm trying to think of. The Harper hold quest for Czar. And you can see what I'm doing right here. I'm gonna go by my pass to do magic in Baldur's Gate. Now there's something to be said for not buying one of these and then fighting the cowled wizards that come and fight you. Because they're difficult, but they drop a bunch of good scrolls, I believe, and they're worth a ton of experience.
I am one of the few who are chosen.
But when you're playing as a solo character, especially for me right now, where I'm a single class mage that's a little bit underleveled for where I am, you kind of want to cut out as much bullshit as you possibly can. You don't want to be dealing with stuff that's irritating. And those guys definitely count as irritating.
I hope this is worth it.
I also picked up the Valagar quest, so I'll be doing that eventually because I do want the ring from the planar sphere. There's a good ring that you can get that I think gives you an extra level 5, 6, and 7 mage spell, or maybe 6, 7, and 8. In any case, it's helpful.
Yeah, I'll see to it.
So there you see the power of doing invisibility again. If you know where the combats are in this game, you can cheese the crap out of it with invisibility. The one exception is it seems like the Kuo-Toa down in the Underdark are immune to invisibility. And of course things like demons, dragons, like ultra high level enemies can see you if you're invisible. I don't honestly know how the invisibility spell works against like Underdark monsters, ones that use infravision, or against Umberhulks and Ankegs for that matter, because they use, I think, tremor sense in order to see. So unless invisibility hides your, the impact of your footsteps on the ground and your heat signature, then it wouldn't work. But I think I'm overthinking it. It's a video game.
What can it be now?
Now I'll have to verify this to make sure it's still true, but back in the day, liches could see you through invisibility, but if you cast improved invisibility on yourself, you still were unable to be targeted. So they had no, nobody to shoot their spells at. So they would cast their time stop and all their protective spells, but then they would just, sit there and wait for the time stop to expire. Inside that painting of an eye right there, there is the Helm of Charm Protection, which does exactly what you think it would do. It can be quite helpful because Charm can end runs, as you can see and will see before this episode is done. So the Helm of Charm Protection is quite helpful, particularly when you're running as a group and you have to split up your resistances. So let's say you're playing a fighter cleric, ordinarily you would just use the Shield of Harmony and it would cover you from everything. But if you're playing as a group and or maybe you're using a character that is using a two-handed weapon, then you can't use that Shield of Harmony. You have to use that helmet. Or I guess if you are that fighter cleric, you can rely on chaotic commands.
Give me some direction.
I had never read this note before, and I assumed that reading it would change the outcome of the quest, but maybe I had to bring that scroll to Czar, or maybe I end up doing so. But even if you know that the bird is a trap and it's not Monteron, then it still goes the same way as always. As far as I could tell anyway.
It's probably best left to me. Hey, not a concern.
So I guess people in use stronger locks than in Baldur's Gate, because in this second game, apparently 19 strength is not sufficient to break most locks,
I'll see.
and in the original game it obviously is.
Something troubling you?
It makes sense from a gameplay standpoint, probably because you need a higher open locks score, so due to that the lock is more difficult to break open. But from a lore standpoint, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like 19 strength is like Herculean. I believe like a professional bodybuilder has a strength score of like 17. So just 19 is like the strongest person you'll ever meet in your entire life. Like god tier. But I can't bust through locks that have one gold piece in it. But whatever.
This is worth
I almost didn't pick up those bolts, and that would have been a mistake. Those bolts of biting are worth a lot of money.
Wonders I have seen, but I save the best for you.
Yeah, 922 for 40 of them, 41 of them. So you saw me make a move down towards that dock where Mook is at night. I forgot that it has to be at night when you do that, so I'm going to go back to the Sea's Bounty, rest, and then you're going to see me struggle really badly for the rest of this episode and for the beginning of the next one. And I'm ashamed to say, I also struggled for like probably like 15 or 20 tries trying to record, and I just kept saying fuck it, I'm stopping the recording, and then I would pick it up right where I left off and try a different tactic. But I get ambushed by vampires, and I had no good way to resist their domination spell, so I ended up having to change my tactics several times. So I think you see me fail several times. This is a small fraction of the number of times I failed, and then you see the way I finally beat them.
Lives amongst you. Be honored, for you shall feed me. Beg for death.
Oh, there must have been two two things that I did, or two vampire random encounters that happened right here. So this is something I didn't know, or I assume it's true, but I didn't know this at the time. Apparently these higher level vampires, the ones that have names, they actually regenerate. Or they certainly seem to. I'm outputting as much damage as I possibly can while kiting her around, and then I hover over her and she's not any more injured than she was before.
Yeah. It's probably best. Give me that.
Oh, maybe I'm full of shit. I thought one of them at least. Maybe it's the next vampires that I struggle with that seem to regenerate. But that one went okay.
It's a cold and dreary day when the Thumb can't extend a bit of hospitality to his guests. Come.
And you see me rest 3
enter
times.
and
Of course, I'm doing that in
welcome
order to go through a full 24-hour cycle, so it's still nighttime, so I can go talk to Mook.
See to it.
And there they are, the bastards.
I am the predator that lives amongst you.
Once I get my fighter levels back, you'll see my playstyle change quite a bit. As a single class mage or as a sorcerer, even a bard to some extent, I like to stack up a bunch of high damage AoE spells or a lot of high damage single target spells and use those to DPS down my enemies. But it seems like I don't have the damage, particularly when my cloud kill is not effective. The vast majority of my damage is coming from cloud kill.
I am the predator that lives amongst you.
And my berserker warriors being the opposite of helpful.
Yeah. I'll see to it.
And there I go, get dominated again.